The great hall of the Galactic Coalition was filled with light. Hundreds of beings from many worlds gathered there. Some had shining wings, some had crystal skin, and some floated in glowing orbs. They had come to honor one human, a soldier named Ryan Hale. He was the man who brought peace after a long and bitter conflict that had spread across half the galaxy. Ryan stood at the center of the hall. He wore his old uniform, clean but still marked by years of duty. He looked tired but calm. Around him stood the High Council, 12 leaders representing 12 great civilizations. Each one spoke in their own language, their words translated into soft tones that filled the air. "Human Ryan," said the eldest among them, a tall being with silver eyes, "you ended a war without destruction. You showed mercy when others wanted revenge. You saved not only your people but ours as well. For that you may choose your reward." A murmur swept through the crowd. Some whispered that he would ask for a starship fleet or a seat among the council. Others thought he might ask for wealth or command. Humans were known to be bold and ambitious. Ryan looked at the crowd. He had fought beside many of these beings. He had seen bravery, fear, and sacrifice. But deep inside, he felt a strange emptiness. He did not want gold or power. He wanted meaning. The eldest counselor raised a hand. "Speak, human. The galaxy is listening." Ryan paused for a moment thinking. Then he spoke clearly. "I want to meet Princess Vera of Lurea. I choose her as my reward." The hall fell silent. No one had expected that name. The counselors looked at each other in confusion. A soft wave of whispers began to rise. "Princess Vera," one of the younger leaders said slowly. "Are you certain? She is not what you might expect." Ryan nodded. "Yes, I have heard her name before. When the war ended, it was said she helped send messages of peace, even when her own people mocked her. She cared for life, not status. I wished to meet her." The crowd shifted uneasily. Many of them had heard strange stories about the princess. Some said she was born with a face so unusual that she hid it behind a silver mask. Others said she lived alone on a moon far from her world, where no one dared to visit. She was often called the forgotten daughter of Lurea. The eldest counselor's voice grew quiet. "She is of noble blood and carries the wisdom of her people, but she has chosen a life of solitude. If you truly wish this, she will be sent for." Ryan gave a short bow. "That is my wish." The decision spread quickly through the hall. Reporters from dozens of planets sent the news across the stars. The human hero chooses the ugliest alien princess. Many laughed. Others were puzzled. A few were angry, thinking it was some kind of insult. But Ryan ignored the noise. He knew what he had chosen, and he stood by it. Later that day, Ryan was taken to a quiet garden near the Coalition's palace. The garden was filled with silver trees and small floating lights that drifted like fireflies. He waited there, his heart steady but curious. He wondered who the princess really was. After a long moment, he heard soft footsteps behind him. He turned and saw a tall figure walking through the mist. She wore a long robe of pale blue silk that shimmered like moonlight. Her face was covered by a smooth silver mask. Her hands were gloved and her movements were slow and careful. The guards at the edge of the garden bowed deeply. "Princess Vera of Lurea," one of them announced. Ryan stepped forward. "It is an honor to meet you, Princess." Her voice was gentle but distant. "You chose me as your reward, human soldier. Do you understand what you have done?" "I do," Ryan said. "I asked for truth, not for beauty or wealth." She tilted her head slightly as if studying him through the mask. "Many have called me cursed. Some fear me, yet you stand here without fear." "Why?" Ryan smiled. "Because fear hides more truth than any mask. I have seen enough war to know that what others call ugly often hides something precious." For a moment there was silence. The wind moved softly through the trees and the lights floated around them like tiny stars. The princess turned away and walked slowly toward a fountain that shone in the garden center. "You are unlike the others," she said softly. "Most who speak to me do so from pity or curiosity. You sound as if you mean what you say." "I do," Ryan said simply. "I do not know who you truly are, but I will learn. I am not here to judge." She touched the surface of the fountain with her hand. Ripples of pale light spread across the water. "Then you may come to my moon. Few are welcome there, but if you seek understanding, you will find it." Ryan nodded. "I accept." When she turned back to him, the faint reflection of her mask caught the garden lights. For a brief instant, he thought he saw something beneath it. a soft glow like sunlight trapped behind a silver cloud. But then it was gone. The council approved his choice, though many still whispered behind closed doors. Some said the human was foolish. Some said he was kind. And a few believed he was destined to change more than anyone could see. That night, Ryan stood at his window in the guest quarters of the palace. The stars spread across the black sky like dusted silver. Somewhere out there was the moon of Lurea, the home of the mysterious princess he had chosen. He felt no regret, only calm curiosity. He remembered her words, and "You are unlike the others." He wondered what she had meant. He wondered what truth she was hiding behind that mask. As dawn rose over the capital world, the human soldier prepared for his next journey. He did not know what waited for him beyond the silver mist, but he felt something new stirring inside him. Not ambition, not duty, but hope, and far away on her lonely moon, Princess Vera stood at her balcony, looking up at the same stars. For the first time in years, she whispered softly, "Maybe this human will see me for who I am." The stars shimmered in answer, as if the universe itself was listening. Ryan arrived on the moon of Lurea 3 days later. The journey through the star lanes was quiet. The ship that carried him was small and smooth, shaped like a silver leaf. When it entered the orbit of the moon, he looked out of the window and saw a world that seemed half dream and half memory. The surface shimmered with pale light, and great silver forests covered most of the land. Rivers of blue energy flowed between crystal mountains. The air itself seemed to glow softly, as if alive. When the ship landed, a group of silent attendants met him. They bowed politely but spoke no words. Their faces were hidden by veils of white fabric. One of them handed Ryan a small device that translated the local air into what humans could breathe. Then they guided him through a long glass tunnel that led to a great gate. The gate opened into a vast garden. Ryan stopped and stared. He had never seen anything like it. The trees were tall and thin, their leaves silver at the edges and gold at the heart. The flowers glowed faintly in many colors. Streams ran quietly between the paths, their water smooth and clear as glass. Every sound in the garden seemed gentle, as if made to calm whoever entered. In the middle of this beauty stood Princess Vera. She wore the same silver mask and soft blue robe as before. The wind moved through the folds of her robe, and she seemed part of the garden itself. "Welcome to my home," she said softly. Her voice sounded kinder than it had in the palace. "Few have come here before." Ryan gave a small bow. "It is the most peaceful place I have ever seen." The princess turned and began to walk down the stone path. "Peace can be lonely when it lasts too long," she said. "Come, I will show you my garden." As they walked, Ryan noticed that every plant seemed to glow brighter when Vera passed. Some flowers even turned toward her as if they felt her presence. She moved slowly, her hands brushing the petals with care. She spoke again after a while. "This moon was once a great center of learning for my people. But when our world changed, they forgot it. They said it was cursed because it stayed quiet while others sought power. I chose to stay here because I wished for silence, not fear." Ryan listened closely. Why did they fear it? Vera stopped beside a crystal fountain. Her masked face turned toward him. "Because silence makes people face their own hearts. My people learned to hide behind brightness and form. They worshiped perfection and forgot kindness. When they looked upon me, they saw what they called a flaw. I became a mirror of their own fear." Ryan thought about her words. "I have seen something similar among my own people. During war, many forget to see the person behind the uniform. They see only the side they stand on." Vera looked at him with quiet surprise. "You speak as one who understands pain." Ryan nodded. "I understand what it means to be judged without being known." They walked again, slower now. The path led to a round pavilion made of white stone. From its center grew a single tree whose branches reached the roof. Its leaves were transparent, and the light from them painted soft patterns on the floor. "This tree is older than my people," Vera said. "It grows from a seed that fell from a comet. My ancestors said it remembers everything it sees." Ryan reached out and touched one of the low branches. The surface felt warm, as if the tree was alive with thought. "It is beautiful," he said quietly. Vera stood beside him. "Beauty is not always seen," she said. "Sometimes it is felt." Her words carried a strange weight. Ryan wanted to ask what she meant, but he stayed silent. He knew she was speaking from experience. They sat together under the tree. The soft glow from the leaves bathed them in color. Ryan noticed that the princess never removed her gloves or mask, even when the breeze lifted her hair. It made him wonder what she truly looked like beneath it. But he also felt that asking would break the quiet trust that was forming between them. After a time, she asked him, "Why did you choose me when you could have asked for anything?" Ryan thought carefully before answering. "When I stood before the council, I remembered the faces of those who had suffered. They were tired, broken, and afraid. I wanted to choose something that reminded the worlds that compassion matters more than pride. Your name was the one spoken with sadness and silence. I wanted to change that." Vera's voice softened. "You do not know me, yet you speak as if you believe in me." "I believe in giving every being a chance to be seen," Ryan replied. For a moment, the garden was still. Then the princess said, "You are the first person who ever said that to me." The sound of her voice trembled slightly, not with fear, but with feeling. She turned away and looked at the glowing river that ran past the pavilion. "Your words mean more than you think," she said after a pause. "There is something my people forgot long ago. They forgot how to look at one another with gentle eyes. You remind me that it is still possible." Ryan stood and walked beside her. Perhaps that is what peace truly means. Not silence, but seeing each other clearly. She looked at him for a long time. "You may be right, human." That evening, as the light faded, Vera led him to a guest house beside the garden. It was simple but full of warmth. The walls were made of glowing stone that adjusted its brightness to the sunset. The room smelled faintly of the silver flowers outside. "You may rest here," she said. "Tomorrow I will show you the heart of my moon." Ryan smiled. "Thank you, princess." She turned to leave but stopped at the door. "Ryan," she said softly, "my name sounds strange to your tongue, but I would like you to use it without the title. It feels lighter that way." He nodded. "Then I will call you Vera." A faint warmth passed through the air, like the garden itself had heard and approved. When she left, Ryan sat by the window and looked at the twin suns setting over the hills. The silver trees shimmered in their fading light. He could not explain it, but he felt that something important was beginning. It was not romance or duty, but a quiet connection built from trust. Far away, Vera walked alone among the glowing flowers. Her heart was heavy, but calm. For years, she had hidden behind her mask, afraid of what others saw. Now for the first time she wondered if she could show her true face. She looked up at the silver sky and whispered, "Maybe he will understand." The garden lights flickered gently, as if answering her hope. The next morning began with a soft golden light over the moon of Lurea. The garden shimmered as if each flower carried a piece of the rising sun. Ryan stepped out of his guest house and breathed in the cool air. It smelled of silver leaves and rain. He had slept peacefully for the first time in many months. Princess Vera was already in the garden. She stood beside a large pool of still water, her robe reflecting the soft morning glow. Her mask caught the sunlight and shone like polished metal. When she saw Ryan, she gave a small nod of greeting. "You wake early for a human," she said in her gentle voice. Ryan smiled. Old habits from the army. Dawn always meant the start of a new mission. "Then today you will begin a different kind of mission," she said. "You will learn what lies beneath this moon." They walked together along a narrow path that led deeper into the silver forest. The trees grew taller and thicker, and beams of blue light slipped between the branches. Small creatures made of crystal wings darted through the air. They reached a wide stone doorway carved into a cliff. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the walls. "This is the heart of my moon," Vera said. "It holds the memory of my people." Ryan followed her inside. The air grew cooler. The walls were covered with patterns that seemed to move slowly, like the surface of water. They passed through long corridors until they entered a large round chamber. In the center stood a great crystal pillar that reached from floor to ceiling. Inside the pillar flowed streams of light that looked like stars in motion. Ryan stared in awe. It looks alive. It is, Vira said softly. This is the memory core. It holds every thought, every dream, and every sorrow of my people. It remembers even the things we try to forget. She placed her hand on the crystal. The pillar began to glow brighter, and images appeared in the air around them. Ryan saw scenes of a shining world filled with beautiful beings made of light. They built cities that floated in the air. Their voices sang in harmony. But then the light dimmed. He saw faces filled with pride, then fear, then hatred. The bright beings began to wear masks to hide their changing forms. Our beauty turned against us, Vira said. We learned to change our shape, but in time we judged those who looked different. I was born with light that did not shine like theirs. They called it imperfect. My own people feared me. So I hid behind the mask. Ryan watched silently. The story spoke to him deeply. He understood the pain of being judged by appearance, by uniform, by label. He turned to her. Vira, your light is not imperfect. It is unique. Why would they not see that? She looked down at her hands. Because difference frightens those who believe they are perfect. They called me a reminder of their failure to remain pure. So I left them and came here. There was a long silence. The light from the crystal danced over the walls, painting her mask with moving colors. Ryan spoke gently. When I fought in the war, I saw soldiers who were scarred or changed. Many hid their faces too. But sometimes those faces showed more strength than any uniform. You do not need to hide what you are. Vira looked at him for a long moment. Then she asked softly, would you still say that if you saw what lies beneath this mask? Yes, Ryan said, because I believe truth cannot be ugly. They left the chamber and returned to the garden as evening began to fall. The twin suns dipped low, and a cool wind stirred the glowing leaves. The sky turned violet, and the silver moonlight spread across the ground. Vira stopped near the fountain where they had first spoken. She stood very still. Her voice, when it came, was quiet but firm. Ryan, I will show you what I truly am, not because you asked, but because I choose to. Ryan felt his heart beat faster. He did not speak. He only nodded. Vira raised her hand to the mask. Her fingers trembled slightly, then steadied. With a soft click, the mask loosened and lifted away. Ryan expected to see something strange or frightening, but what he saw was beyond any word he knew. Her face was not solid like his own. It shimmered with living light, flowing gently like water touched by color. Her eyes were like small galaxies, filled with motion and depth. The lines of her face changed with every breath, glowing softly with emotion. She was not made of flesh, but of pure energy shaped into form. She looked at him with a quiet sadness. This is why they feared me. They said my form was unstable. They said no one could look at me without discomfort. I wear the mask to protect others from fear. Ryan stepped closer. The light from her skin reflected off his face. It was warm and calm, not harsh. He felt no fear at all. You are not frightening, he said slowly. You are beautiful in a way that words cannot describe. Her eyes widened slightly. You do not turn away. Why would I? Ryan said. I see truth, not danger. A faint glow passed between them, gentle like sunlight on calm water. Vira lowered her mask to her side. For the first time, she smiled. Her smile was like light breaking through a cloud. You are the first to see me and stay, she said. Ryan felt something shift inside him. He realized that what he saw was not just an alien form, but a reflection of courage. Vira had carried her burden alone for years, and yet she still spoke with kindness. Vira stepped closer to the fountain and looked at her reflection in the water. The light from her body mixed with the silver of the pool, creating ripples of color. For so long I thought hiding was safety, she said. Now I wonder if it was only fear. Ryan said quietly, maybe safety and fear can look the same until someone shows you the difference. Vira turned to him. Then perhaps you have shown me. They stood in silence for a while, watching the garden lights grow brighter as night deepened. The stars began to appear above them, and their light blended with hers. Ryan looked up. If your people could see you now, they would understand that true light cannot be hidden forever. Vera's voice was soft. Maybe one day they will. But for now, it is enough that one person sees me without fear. Ryan smiled. Then let that be the beginning. As the night wrapped the garden in silver calm, the human and the radiant princess stood side by side, one of flesh, one of light, both carrying the same quiet truth, that beauty was never about form but about courage. Far beyond the garden walls, the moon of Lurea glowed brighter than it had in centuries. The ancient trees seemed to sing softly in the wind, as if they too felt that something sacred had awakened again. The next morning, the first light of the twin suns touched the moon of Lurea. It spread through the silver trees and rested softly on the crystal fountains. Ryan stood in the garden, still thinking about the moment he had seen Vera's true form. The image of her shining face stayed in his mind like a dream that would not fade. He looked up when he heard her footsteps on the stone path. Vera came toward him wearing her silver robe again, but this time she did not wear the mask. The gentle glow of her skin blended with the morning light, and the garden seemed to brighten around her. Ryan bowed slightly. "Good morning, Vera." "Good morning, Ryan," she said. Her voice was calm but warmer than before. "It feels strange to walk without the mask after so many years. The air feels different on my face. I did not realize how much I missed this feeling." Ryan smiled. "You look free, like someone who finally stepped out of a shadow." Vera looked at him with a soft expression. "You speak in simple words, but they hold meaning. Perhaps that is why humans are strong. You do not hide your hearts behind beauty or form. You see life as it is." She walked to the edge of the garden where the water flowed through a series of glowing stones. "Ryan," she said quietly, "there is something you should know. When you chose me at the council, you changed more than your own fate. My people have seen the news. They will come here soon. Some will want to see what you have done. Others may wish to take me back and force me to hide again." Ryan looked surprised. "Will they harm you for showing your true face?" "No," she said, "but they will try to silence what it means. If they accept that I am not a curse, then they must also face what they have become." Ryan stepped beside her. "Then we will face them together." She turned to him. "You would stand beside me against my own people?" "Yes," he said. "Because this is not about you or me. It is about truth. The galaxy has fought too many wars for pride. Maybe it is time someone stood for honesty instead." For a moment, Vera did not speak. Then she said softly, "You remind me of the stories of the first humans who came to the stars. They had no power, yet they changed the worlds they touched." Later that day, a message arrived from the Lurian High Council. It was carried by a group of envoys who arrived in shining ships. They brought formal words written in glowing script. The message demanded that Princess Vera return to her homeworld for evaluation. The envoys spoke politely, but their tone was cold. Vera read the message without fear. "They are afraid," she said. "They think that if I show myself to others, their illusion of perfection will break." Ryan watched her. "Then show them. Let them see what they tried to hide." Vera looked at him carefully. "You believe that strongly?" "I do," Ryan said. "You once said beauty can be felt. Let them feel your truth." That evening, the moon of Lurea prepared for the arrival of the High Council. The palace that had been silent for years came alive with energy. Light bridges were built across the garden. The air was filled with the sound of wings from Lurian guards. Every crystal tower shone as if the moon itself wanted to witness what was coming. Vera stood at the center of the garden, dressed in her blue robe, her silver mask placed on a nearby stone table. Ryan stood a few steps behind her, calm but alert. He had faced armies before, but this meeting felt heavier than any battle. When the council arrived, 12 figures stepped forward. Their bodies shone with steady golden light. They looked at Ryan with curiosity and at Vera with unease. The leader spoke first. "Princess Vera, we have come to bring you home. The galaxy watches, and your actions bring confusion among the people. You were told long ago that your form should remain hidden. Why do you break that rule now?" Vera's voice was steady. "Because hiding truth does not protect anyone. It only builds fear," the council murmured among themselves. One of them said sharply, "Your light is unstable. You risk spreading disorder." Ryan took a step forward. If by disorder you mean courage, then maybe it is time the galaxy had some. The council turned their gaze on him. Human soldier, this is not your matter. Ryan met their eyes without flinching. It became my matter when your fear tried to bury her truth. You call her unstable because she does not look like you, but I see strength where you see difference. A silence followed. The light of the garden reflected on the council's golden forms, and for a moment they seemed uncertain. Vera stepped closer to them. Her face glowed softly, not bright enough to blind, but warm enough to reach every corner of the garden. Look at me, she said gently. You call me flawed, yet what you fear is only your reflection in me. I am what your kind once was before pride turned your hearts cold. I am the reminder that light is not meant to be the same in every being. Her words carried through the air like a melody. Even the wind seemed to pause. The council stood still, their light flickering faintly. The leader finally spoke in a lower voice. What you say may be true, but the people will not understand. Then teach them, Vera said. Teach them that beauty is not perfection. Teach them that harmony is not sameness. Ryan watched her with quiet pride. He could see how her courage changed the air around her. The trees glowed brighter, and the rivers shone with deeper color. After a long silence, the leader of the council said, Perhaps the galaxy has much to learn from both of you. Remain here for now. We will speak again. The council turned and left the garden. Their ships rose into the silver sky, leaving trails of golden light behind them. When they were gone, Vera turned to Ryan. Her eyes shone like stars reflected on water. I was afraid they would take me away, she said softly. They could not, Ryan said. You are free now, not because they allowed it, but because you chose it. Vera looked at the silver mask resting on the table. For a moment, she touched it gently, then placed it back down. I will not wear it again, she said. Not even for ceremony, Ryan smiled. Then the mask has served its purpose. It protected you until you were ready to protect yourself. The evening grew quiet. The last rays of the suns faded, and the stars appeared one by one. Vera stood beside Ryan at the edge of the garden watching the sky. You gave me courage, she said. You already had it, he answered. You only needed someone to remind you. For the first time, Vera laughed softly, and the sound was like crystal water falling over stone. That night, the light of Luria spread across nearby worlds. People who looked up at the sky said the moon seemed brighter than ever before. They did not know it was because a hidden truth had finally been set free. The moon of Luria glowed brighter than ever before. Its silver forests shimmered under the twin suns, and its rivers carried light that looked alive. News of Princess Vera's courage spread quickly across the stars. What began as a quiet moment between a human soldier and a forgotten princess had now become a story whispered in every world. Ryan stood on the balcony of the moon's great palace, looking out at the horizon. Ships from many planets had begun to arrive. Some came out of curiosity, some came to question, and others came simply to witness the truth that had shaken the proud Lurian Empire. Vera joined him on the balcony. Her robe shimmered faintly and her face glowed with soft light. She no longer wore her mask. The light that once frightened others now gave warmth to those who stood near her. They are coming, Ryan said as he watched the lights of ships entering the atmosphere. Yes, Vera answered calmly. For the first time, they are not coming to judge. They are coming to understand, Ryan smiled. Then we should welcome them. The courtyard below filled with visitors. Leaders, travelers, and ordinary citizens from many species stepped onto Luria's silver ground. They looked around in wonder at the glowing plants and the living streams. When they saw Vera, they fell silent. She stepped forward, her light spreading gently through the air. It was not bright enough to blind, only warm enough to touch hearts. Welcome to Luria, she said. This moon was once forgotten. Today it belongs not to one people, but to all who wish to see truth. Her voice carried across the courtyard like music. Ryan stood beside her, silent but proud. He could see how the crowd changed as they looked at her. The fear that had once filled the stories about her was gone. In its place was respect and quiet wonder. A young visitor stepped forward, a small child from a distant world with skin that shimmered like sand. Princess, the child asked, why do you shine like that? Vera smiled gently. Because I carry light that shows how I feel. When I am calm, it shines softly. When I am happy, it grows brighter. The child laughed with joy. Then you must be very happy today. I am, Vera said with warmth. Because you are not afraid. The crowd laughed softly and the tension broke. The visitors began to ask questions, not out of fear but curiosity. Vera answered each one with patience. She told them how her people once hid behind masks, and how she learned that truth was stronger than pride. She told them about Ryan, the human who saw her not as a reward but as a person. Ryan listened quietly as she spoke. He never expected his choice to mean so much. He had only wanted to show kindness, but now that kindness had become a light reaching across the galaxy. As the sun began to set, Vera and Ryan led the guests to the central garden. There the great tree of light stood, its transparent leaves glowing with many colors. Vera placed her hand on its trunk and it responded with a soft pulse of brightness. "This tree remembers every moment that happens on this moon," she said. "Let it remember today as the day when fear began to fade." Ryan stepped forward. "Let it also remember that a single act of courage can change more than armies ever could." The guests bowed their heads. Even the Council of Luria, who had returned to watch silently, lowered their golden faces. That night, a great celebration took place across the moon. Music filled the air, made not by instruments but by waves of energy that moved through the sky like gentle rain. The light from the garden reached high above the palace and painted the stars with color. Vera and Ryan walked among the people. She spoke with kindness to everyone while he answered questions about humanity. The visitors were surprised to learn that humans were still new to the stars, yet they carried such strong hearts. A Lurian elder approached Ryan. His golden form was dimmer than before, but his eyes were kind. "Human soldier," he said, "you have given our princess what we could not. You saw her without fear. You reminded us what our people once stood for." Ryan shook his head. "She gave herself that strength." "I only helped her see it," the elder smiled. "Then you understand the meaning of light. It is not power but reflection. You reflected her truth back to her." When the night grew quiet, Vera and Ryan returned to the balcony. The celebration sounds faded into the distance. The twin moons shone high and the stars stretched across the dark sky like rivers of silver. "You have changed my world," Vera said softly. Ryan looked at her. "No, you changed it yourself. I only believed in you," she turned to him. "You are humble, Ryan, but your belief gave me courage. Without it, I would still be hiding behind a mask." Ryan smiled gently. "Then I am glad I chose you." Vera's eyes glowed brighter for a moment. "When you chose me, I thought it was a mistake or a cruel joke. I never imagined it would lead to this." "Neither did I," Ryan said. "Sometimes the right choice does not look right at first." They stood together in silence, watching the lights across the garden. The air was cool and calm. Ryan could feel the faint warmth of Vera's energy near him. "Will you return to Earth?" Vera asked after a moment. "Perhaps one day," he said, "but not yet. There is more to learn here. Humanity has much to teach, but we also have much to understand." "Then stay as long as you wish," she said. "This moon has room for both of us." As the night deepened, Ryan looked out at the stars and felt a quiet peace. He had fought wars and carried burdens, but here, among light and honesty, he had found something different. Not glory, not reward, but meaning. The next morning, when the suns rose again, their light touched both of them as they stood in the garden. The tree of memory shone brighter than ever before. Vera's glow mixed with the sunlight, creating a bridge of color that stretched across the sky. People on distant worlds saw that light and told stories about it. Some said it was the birth of a new star. Others said it was a sign that two worlds had finally understood each other. In truth, it was the light of courage and kindness joined together. From that day, humans and Lurians began to work side by side. The story of the soldier and the princess became a lesson told to children across the galaxy. That strength is not in perfection, but in understanding, and that the heart can see what eyes cannot. And on quiet nights, when the stars were bright, Ryan and Vera would walk together through the silver gardens. They spoke of the past and the future, of their worlds and their hopes. The air around them glowed softly, carrying the same peaceful light that had started it all. Two souls, one of flesh and one of light, stood beneath the same sky, proving that true beauty was never about form or face. It lived in courage, kindness, and the simple choice to see beyond fear. The moon of Lurea became known as the moon of truth, and its light never faded again.